trying to get it down to 0, and it's not kicking the way I want it to. But it says it's published. Let's see. Okay, we can actually.
I'll call the Saluda School District 1 Board of Trustees meeting to order. It's October the 26th at Saluda High School. This meeting has been announced and appropriately advertised according to the requirements of the Freedom of Information Act for public meetings. Quorum is present. The board can legally take action. Ask Mr. Holloway if he would have the invitation.
Let's bow our heads and word of prayer. This evening out here, Heavenly Father, we come first of all and say thank you. Thank you for blessing us, and keeping us, and protecting us, Heavenly Father, from our very existence up until this very moment. Dear Father, we ask you this evening to please bless us according to our every need. Bless us with your grace and mercy, with your guidance, Heavenly Father. Help us to be thy will. Help us to love one another, Heavenly Father. And dear Father, we ask you to please heal our land from this violence. Heal our land from racism. Heal our land from hatred. Heal our land from all this violence. Dear Father, help us this evening as school board trustees to make the decision that will be for the best interest of this community, for our children, for everyone that's being affected. But Father, please keep us guided and protect us. And dear Father, if there's anything that I feel to ask you for, you know we stand in need of. Heavenly Father, please grant those blessings to us also. These blessings, all of them blessings, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Holloway. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from September 21st, 2020 board meeting. You received a copy of the minutes in your packet. Are there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for September 21st.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Nichols. Second by Dr. Puryear. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Unanimous. Thank you. Approved. Next is the approval of the agenda. Dr. Williamson.
No change, no.
Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Holloway, second by Ms. Holloway. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Vote unanimous. Thank you. Next is the swearing in of new board members. I have here a letter from Governor McMaster, Secretary Hammond appointing Mr. Jeffrey Jordan to the School District 1 Board of Trustees upon the recommendation of the Saluda County Legislative Delegation pursuant to South Carolina Act 1244 of 1972. The Judge Warren is here. Mr. Jordan?
You raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified, according to the Constitution of this state, to exercise the duties of Saluda County School District 1 Board Member, the office to which I have been appointed, and that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof, and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States. So help me God.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. Mr. Jordan, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Next on the agenda is the 2020-2021 school reopening plan update. Dr. Livingston.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman. Wanted to take a second just to update the board on where we're at. Actually have a prepared remarks. Very pleased to report we're entering our 9th week of face-to-face, 5 days a week instruction in Saluda County Schools. our students, teachers, instructional assistants, nurses, counselors, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, SRO, and all of the staff members continue to follow our safety protocols and set the example on how you can safely operate school 5 days a week. To this point, I do want to, we have had the following positive COVID cases since the beginning of school on August 31st. At Hollywood Elementary, we had 1 positive student and 1 positive teacher. At Saluda Primary, we have had 1 positive student and 1 positive instructional assistant. At Saluda Elementary, we have had 0 students and we have 1 student teacher. At Saluda Middle School, we have 1 full distance learning student and 1 full distance learning teacher. And at Saluda High School, we have had 2 positive students. So those are our positive cases since we started school on August 31st. We have had to quarantine 1 class at Saluda Primary, 1 class at Saluda Elementary, and 2 classes at Hollywood Elementary. While under quarantine, these students transition to integral full distance learners and high quality instruction continue. We are now meeting with principals to discuss how we will bring more students back in January, and I will be providing the board an update and timeline at an upcoming board workshop, as well as a full presentation that we'll provide in our November board meeting. Our goal at this time is to send a parent survey out the week of Thanksgiving, and prior to the release of the survey, we will communicate to parents what second semester will look like. So parents will be educated in what our environment will look like so they can make the best decision for their families. But Dr. Coleman and the board, I really just can't brag on the entire Saluda family for what they have done. And just like I say, we're in our 9th week of face-to-face 5 days a week. So just very proud of the team effort that everybody has done and what they are continuing to do.
Thank you. I want to echo that. And principals are here tonight and administrators, and we just want to thank everyone for their hard work for our students, teachers, and we're just really glad that our kids are back learning. So, thank you for hard work. Is there any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
There's not a question, but I would make a comment. I realize I have a lot more time on my hands than some of you, and I have made a point to go to all of our schools, and I have to say, they're just very impressive. The things that our principals have done, the things that our teachers have done, I would highly recommend that if you have not, pick a school and go to it. They're everyone outstanding.
I've done that as well, and it is really impressive, and just the atmosphere of positive learning is amazing. It really is. Anyone else? Thank you for that update. Next is operations, CARES Act funding update.
Yes, Dr. Coleman and the board, and I did provide you a table, kind of a update for your information that I will be reading through. And definitely glad that Senator Massey and Representative Forrest here. I want to thank both Senator Massey and Representative Forrest for supporting legislation throughout this process, but especially supporting legislation that's allowed Superintendent Spearman the flexibility to allocate CARES Act funding to school districts. Saluda County Schools received $666,167.59 last April, and we were notified on Friday that we will be receiving an additional $200,079. Thank you, Commander. I practiced all day long. $279,714.13. This amount is based on a per pupil allocation and will be used to fund COVID-related expenses that occurred between July 1, 2020 and through September 30th, 2021 for activities that have been approved by the South Carolina General Assembly. These funds will help us offset the cost of PPE, plexiglass, our Halo air purification system, cleaning supplies, and additional tutors we have brought in to work with our students to help make up any learning gaps from last year. In addition to the funding we have received, the State Department of Education's effort to provide us with additional PPE, cleaning supplies, plexiglass, and guidance has played a major role in Saluda County School being able to operate school safely 5 days a week. Superintendent Spirit and her staff have been amazing to work with and are constantly asking superintendents when we meet what her office can do to help all schools safely return to face-to-face instruction. So that is just a brief update on our CARES Act funding to this point.
Thank you, Dr. Livingston. Any questions? Certainly appreciate Superintendent Jim Jefferson and members of General Stewart. It really helps us with our little school district here, and we were very proactive in getting our supplies, and it's really good to have that support. So thank you very much. Next, we have a budget update.
Good evening, everyone. I want to bring to y'all the September report tonight, and the revenues that we've received as of September was $360,550 for local revenues, which is about 5%, and then $2,679,213. About 22% of the state monies, and then as of today, we've not received federal monies received in this. Altogether, we've received $3,039,763, which is about 15% of our projected revenue. For our expenditures, we have spent thus far $3,894,649, or about 20%. And to kind of give the breakdown of how it's been spent, in salaries, we've spent $2,155,129, or 18% of that budget expense, and $935,871 for 17% of that budget. On utilities, we have spent $159,790, or 27% of the budget. In repair and maintenance, we have spent $24,897, or 40% of that budget. Communications, we have spent $17,635, or 27% of the budget. For purchasing services, we've spent $195,838, or 23% of that budget. For supplies, we have spent $242,680, or 54% of the budget allocated. Equipment, we've spent nothing thus far, and insurance, we've spent $94,288, or 70% of the budget, and other expenditures, $55,061.24. Is there any questions?
Any questions? All clear? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Next is our legislative update for members of the Saluda County delegation. I want to welcome Senator Shane Massey, representing the Cattle Force. It's always a pleasure to have y'all here and kind of share your time with us in the fall. spent some time talking with us. I want to say thanks again for your support. I'm not ready to start having that flexibility because we've been able to do some things that really help our kids get back to learning, and especially with with our PPE and then our ability to hire some tutors to really work with our students and getting them back and moving forward. And it's been a real helpful. So thank you. I know that September was not easy making some of those decisions and budget decisions. I know how it is, but I certainly appreciate your due diligence and helping us all you can. So if y'all want to just give us kind of a little update on where we are, and you don't mind a few questions maybe. So I know that.
Well, first of all, thanks for having us back. And I'll start also just by saying a word of gratitude, but also congratulations on the work that you've done so far this year. As someone who has 2 school-age children who have not been going to school 5 days a week, I'm jealous by what you've been able to pull off. But it's also good to see that you've been able to pull it off very successfully. You've been able to keep children safe, but also educating them at the same time. And I think that's extremely important. I am jealous about that. But Dr. Livingston, he makes it even worse because he calls me and gives me these updates, telling me how great things are going. But I appreciate that communication as well. So good work in what you've done, and keeping the children and the staff safe, and also giving them the instruction that they need as well. Because what I've seen in talking with a number of teachers around our district, I've been concerned about some of the assessments that have come in early on, and it's become apparent to me that we need to get the children back as quickly as possible, because there has been a tremendous amount of work done on virtual programs, and for those of us who've been in hybrid, there's been a lot of work done in those things, and I think teachers are working harder now than they've been working in years past, and they worked really hard in years past, but the instruction is not the same online as what it is face-to-face in the classroom. And I see that personally from my own children, and I know that if I see that from my own children, that it's even more difficult for a lot of children who don't have the advantages that my children have. So thank you for your work on that. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to touch on that too, is since Shane said, Harvey lets us know on a regular basis what's going on and everything's going well, and I don't know many people in this room, maybe they do, but I think a lot of people don't realize what a huge accomplishment was the county schools have done, because the numbers are right, and already one of the 16 to 17 school districts in the whole state that are for 5 days a week. And if you don't make us important to have face-to-face instruction and teaching, there's nothing like it. This is something people doing the best they can, but it's not good for not only in those K through 12, but in higher education. I talked to parents from Clemson in South Carolina, paying a pretty big fee to go to a university or college, and some of them are going to school 1 day a week, class 1 day a week, and the rest of it is distance learning, and they're not getting as money, the money's worth, they're not getting the education. And I know that even from a mental standpoint, one of my little nieces, my sister's daughter, she first day she came back to school, and they've been out since March. She was the Facebook school. She got tears that came into her eyes. And they're like, oh, they want to know what was wrong. They thought something was wrong. And she said, no, I'm just so happy to be back in school. See her teachers and see her classmates and get back to learning. And so I think that's a huge feeling y'all had. And I congratulate everybody for all.
I'll just say real quick, and then take questions too, if you'd like to do that, as long as they're easy questions. No hard questions. The virus is clearly affected us economically as well, statewide. As you probably know, South Carolina's overall revenue is heavily dependent on tourism. The coast the entire coast, especially during the summer months, generates enough income that we live off of that for much of the remainder of the fiscal year. And so this year, when the coast saw 30-40% occupancy rate in some of the hotels in the park, they got up to about 70 at different times, but it was definitely a downturn. And we are seeing some of the effects of that now. And what you saw from the General Assembly in September, in not getting a budget passed, was a lot of concern because of that. When we see some of the numbers that came in, sales tax collections, accommodations tax collections, when the economists were looking at payroll tax numbers, and they're looking at income tax numbers, they were very concerned about where we were, but also where we were headed. I think they're still concerned about that. In fact, the economists told us back in September that they thought that it was going to get worse before it got better. And so, as y'all know, I mean, the Senate passed a budget, the House did not, and I could argue this one either way. But I think that the House leadership was very concerned about where we were headed, and they didn't want to overcommit, spending more money than what we had. The absolute worst thing, and several of us had this conversation, the absolute worst thing that we could do would be to give teachers a pay raise and then have to furlough them, because we didn't have the money to fulfill the commitment that we made. None of us wanted to be in that position. But the last meeting of the Board of Economic Advisors was positive. We did generate a little bit more than they anticipated over the previous month. That's good news. We're still not out of the woods. We're still got a long ways to go. But hopefully, if things go well, hopefully we can pass a budget in January and even make step increases retroactive. And that's what a lot of us would like to do. But we want to make sure the money is in the bank before we overcommit on something like that. But I'll say this too. The good thing is, even though we've taken some hits economically, the good thing is that we were as prepared for this as we could be. Because we have not had to cut anything yet. For those of you who were around in 2008, in 2009, you know that we passed the budget in May 2008, and in September, the financial collapse hit. By the end of the calendar year, from September to December, we have completely blown through our reserves. And if you recall, we went back into session in October of 2008, and we made some pretty drastic cuts across the board. We actually did do it across the board. We went back in order to make those cuts, but they were cuts across the board, just at different levels. And then we had additional cuts that came about throughout in the beginning of 2009. None of us want to be in that position again. And the good thing is that we had much more in reserve this time, so we're much better prepared than where we were before. Also, because our economy was doing so well up until the middle of March, we had a lot of extra money banked up. And so we've been able to weather the storm without having any cuts. I think that's very important because a lot of other states have not been in that position. Additionally, we haven't had to borrow any money to pay our unemployment claims. In 2008, 2009, we had to borrow $1 billion from the federal government to make unemployment claims, benefit payments. In fact, most states this year have had to borrow money from the federal government to make those payments. We have not. We were in a very good position with our trust fund, and we've used some CARES Act funding in order to stabilize that to some degree. But we are in a much better position financially than what most of the states in the country have been. And I know that's not, maybe that's not enough for some folks who are hoping for us to do more. And I get that. But I would much rather maintain where we are than have to cut later on. But hopefully things are going to continue to improve, and we'll be in a position where we can do more for teachers and schools and other areas as well. So I think we're moving in the right direction, but there's still a lot of uncertainty out there, y'all. There's still a lot of uncertainty in the private sector with businesses, and there's still a lot of people who are not going to the coast. The coast does well even in the fall. This year they're concerned about that as well. Those things have an impact on all the rest of us. But there are some some industries that have taken major hits, of course, tourism, hospitality, accommodations have really been hit, manufacturing has been hit as well, other service industries. But we're weathering this storm much better than lots of other places around the country, and I think that's a good thing.
I think, Senator Mason just took the words out of my mouth. He said exactly what I was gonna say. He said it a different way.
It's not nearly as articulate.
But, I was going to argue otherwise. But he's right, I'd rather be a bad guy right now, increasing teacher pay, than being a bad guy, next year when we fall short of money, if we fall short of money, taking money away from teachers, and talk about the bad guy, it's going to hurt pretty much. And I think, Dr. Cohen, you think it happened before, whenever we got to back in 2008, 2009. And Shane's right, it's financially, the state of South Carolina, if there's ever a good time to have a turn down of the economy, not that there's ever a good time, but this is it, because we were flush with money. And, we didn't get to do a lot of things that we want to do as far as teaching pay raises and, tax breaks to a lot of individuals, tax credits to a lot of individuals. Get rid of some of this money, but, at least we had money when we're working stuff very easy. And also, it's, some of these businesses, as far as restaurants, and especially on the coast of these hotels, who knows if they're going to survive? Some of them might close up shop and never come back in business. That's going to be revenue lost indefinitely because somebody decides to take the bull by the hand with the business owner on some of these places of the coast to a hot test for tax money for the state.
Thank you. I haven't lived through the recession and the rescission bill. I did not have to do it.
That was not fun.
It was not.
That was my first year up there, that was not fun.
That's right. And we've been prudent here too. We've increased our fund balance in the last 3 years from about 700,000 to about 5.4 million. So we're trying to be very prudent too, not knowing exactly what the economy is going to do. We certainly appreciate any help for our teachers. They certainly deserve it. And I will say that they are working harder than ever. And we've got several that have stepped up to be virtual teachers, and they're doing a fantastic job too. And we just can't say enough good things. I would say that one of the most important things we can do is rural broadband. A big help to our school district. And I guess on my mind, the other thing would be is, we got some great kids here, and we're doing a good job of educating them. We're working hard with our local, with Batesburg on, some career and technology work, and working with tech schools, but jobs, our kids need jobs. We want to keep them here, and they need good jobs. So anything you can do in that aspect, we certainly appreciate. So I'm not going to ask you a hard question, but I'm going to tell you those are important to our kids.
The broadband is easy because we spent some of the CARES Act money to try to help that process, and we're going to spend more money in that process because we're both rural guys. We recognize that issue, but I think even some of the folks who are not rural guys understand that. I'm starting to understand it a little bit more now too. So that's helpful. The economic development issue has always been a struggle here. It's been a struggle at the state level to get them to recognize the need, because Saluda always has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state. Always. But that's because of your proximity to Lexington and Columbia and Newberry and Greenwood. It's just a great location to be able to drive to employment opportunities. But you don't have a whole lot of industry within the county, which makes it more difficult for you in funding. And it also makes it more difficult for residents because it places more of the burden on residents for local funding streams. But I will say the county council has taken some steps in that, where they've hired a very capable economic development team that does work for Aiken and Edgefield. I think that's a good partnership to be in. And I know he's been working on anything called the on things. So I think that's good. That's positive. We just got to keep up the pressure on that. But it's harder to get the Department of Commerce because they're looking at the unemployment rate and they say, well, Saluda's doing great. They are doing great like that, but it's not because of industry located within the county. But I agree with that. I also think it's important, that the students know what the career opportunities are that are available. And one of the things that really concerns me about children in rural areas in South Carolina is that they don't know that we're building fighter jets in Rome. They don't know that we're building massive planes in North Charleston. They don't know that we're building tires in Lexington and in Aiken and in Anderson County, right? They don't know that we are the #1 tire producer in the country. There are all sorts of other opportunities. Those are just the first ones that came to mind. But my point is that I think it's important that we expose the children to those opportunities so that they know what kind of career opportunities they can have living right here and driving a short distance. That'd be great for kids on the country. But even if they have to drive, they can drive to Greenville, they can drive to Lexington. There are great career opportunities. They're local. They can definitely stay inside the state and have great career opportunities. And I want us to do a better job of exposing children to those opportunities so that we don't have to recruit people from up north, somewhere out on the Pacific Coast to come do the jobs. That drives me crazy. I want South Carolinians to have those positions. And it's, I think part of it is just exposing them to those things. I mean, y'all know that when you have career fairs, the kids want to do these things they see on television. Right? I mean, they want to be crime scene investigators, and they want to be all these other things. They want to be the athletes and stuff like that. You're always going to have things like that. But I think we need to do a better job of exposing children to those local opportunities. Because there are some. We need more here locally within the rural areas. But there are lots of opportunities in South Carolina. We just need to let them know what they are.
Questions? Comments?
Unfunded mandate. Talked about that last time. And y'all ain't done nothing about it.
What unfunded mandate do you have?
When you give us a teacher pay raise, and that's really good, we don't have enough money to do that. We wanted to give our staff a raise.
We didn't mandate it.
No, you didn't mandate the staff, but, what does it mean to our staff when we sit there, raise teachers?
I understand that.
Staff looks at that and says, what, we don't count?
No, I understand that.
And my point is, I guess, with our per student rate, we need help. Okay. Give us more money. When you tell us to raise teachers, give us the money to do it. Well, you pointed out our funding stream here in the county, and you're right. We don't have much of a tax base. So that means our taxpayers have to pay for that. Just be aware of that, that's all I'm asking.
So the teacher pay increases that were mandated at the state level for the last fiscal year, and then the step increases, have the state not funded those completely?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm pretty sure before, I think, I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that the state kicked in a lot. I'm pretty sure that the state kicked in a lot of money, if not all of the money, so this last round of increases. But I might be wrong, I'm not exactly sure.
That doesn't mean there aren't any unfunded mandates.
I didn't, that's just one of my pet peeves.
Oh, I understand completely, and,
But I didn't come in here laying in wait with a bunch of questions.
Oh,
As has been done in the past.
You got a whole stack of stuff over there, looks like you
Sir?
said you got a whole stack of notes over there, looks like you're ready for it.
This is just my package for tonight. And this is our African American studies. That's what.
you might have a long night tonight.
Sir?
All those papers, you might have a long night tonight.
Apparently so. So I've been told.
We do appreciate everything that y'all do for Saluda.
I think your point is fair. We need to do a better job of being on the lookout for mandates that don't come with money. I think you also ought to be careful about the state getting to the point where the state funds everything. Because if the state funds everything, the state's going to take over control of everything. And I don't think you want that. I don't want that. So there's gotta be a good partnership there. We just have to do a better job of making sure that it's a fair partnership.
Any other comments?
This hallway is quiet tonight. I'm not used to that happening.
No, I know. I will say when we do work on the budget, and I've brought you this sheet before. There is some good, fringe and retirement. We do go in home. The other area where we have a lot of expenditures that aren't covered by state or federal money is in special ed. It's very expensive and we don't, you know, we want to provide every service that we're supposed to provide, but we do not receive that. There's a couple of things there. And you know, we've talked a lot about,
I'm sorry, I can't hear a word you're
Can't
saying.
hear me?
Your
Can you hear me now?
microphone.
Sorry about that, I was muting, so, because I didn't wanna talk over you. So, you know, we have talked a lot about our, you know, our tax base and, you know, we've got facilities needs and, you know, we'd love to have some sport in that area too, you know. We know that, you know, we don't wanna be any more burden on our taxpayers than we have to, but we know we've gotta provide a good, safe place, and, building maintenance is expensive, and, you know, thankfully we're growing a little bit, and, but we're running out of space, it's a good thing. But we've gotta consider facilities needs too in the next year too.
How about, other than money?
Other than money,
Other than money? Anything else? I mean, any other issues we need to know about?
No, since you want me to talk, no Shane, I wanna tell you like I always.
I'm gonna regret this, aren't I?
No, you're not. I'm telling you like I always tell you, and I know that you're a product of public education, but always remember public education. You're a product of that, your children are in public schools. Remember that, when you're voting. You know, I know there are other issues that comes up sometimes, but always, you know, make sure that public education is funded the way that it needs to be. Thank you.
It does come back to funding, but if and when the state is, several years ago, there was some monies, there was some funds from the agricultural fund in which they were, helping, some building upgrades, and we felt, we applied, and what we knew we didn't qualify, but once again, if and when any funding to help us increase our cake offerings, we're just in need of space. And we have become very good at making our funds stretch. So once again, once the economy does shake out, if there are any opportunities for some money for some career technology buildings or an additional classroom or wing, that would be very much appreciated. I'm not sure if y'all follow much on social media, but Dr. Macchio, who's reporting, is over our student video production team and our once through the Wednesday videos. If you haven't seen them, please go see them. Our students are producing outstanding work, and if we were able to provide them with even a better space and upgraded equipment, the sky's the limit. So we have a lot of kids hungry, ready to take the next level. We could just use some additional funding for those buildings and opportunities.
That's fair. The CAPE programs are the ones that are really provide a lot of opportunities for children now. And I think we've got to be a little bit more creative in, I don't think it's Christmas at all, but I think statewide, we've got to be a little bit more creative in partnering with our high school CAPE programs with our technical colleges and then there has to be a conversation with local businesses too about the types of skills that these children are going to need to compete for positions in the local economy, and then have the technical colleges working with the high schools, that's what we're talking about, right? Working with the high schools to ensure that those children can get the skills, the training they need, even at the high school level, which will save them a ton of money later on, and they can go into some very, very successful careers there. But the career and technology centers are vitally important, and it seems to me like we have opportunities to work with technical colleges, kind of put those two together, that we can do more for our students if we do that. And probably save some money on both sides if we do a better job of work.
And I do want to brag on Dr. Ray Brooks, the president of Piedmont Technical College. We had a very robust meeting when I took over a couple of years ago. And from that meeting, they allocated funds to where our students are able to take mechatronic courses. I believe both of y'all were involved in making some phone calls for us. So we have made those connections, you know, there won't be too many. So we want our kids to have the opportunities like Lexington 1, Lexington 5, you know, and everywhere else. So, and once again, too, Molly's helping, y'all's helping, and supporting our collaboration with Election 3 has been huge.
I think that's been great. Y'all been here.
We just want to continue to expand.
We need to provide proper funding anywhere it's necessary. And there's a lot of trade-offs to living in a rural area like Saluda. And I will sing your praises as a district and everybody up here. You just say y'all make the dollar stretch, and you do a lot more with a lot less than some districts do. And a lot of districts that have such a broad tax base and big tax base, they're able to, lack of a better term, waste a lot of money unnecessarily. Y'all do a lot more with less. And every chance we get, we'll send y'all some more money if it's available. But I think I just want to mention again that I'm proud of Saluda is in my district. That's for sure. There's a lot of school districts around the state that I would not want my district. I'm glad y'all want to.
Other than funding, and on the reform side, it's certainly been helpful to have, testing rate and, reducing our reporting load on our teachers and what we teach, and we work through some of that, and I know you're still working on some legislation and where you'll go with that, but that's, the experts back here can talk to that much better than I can, but that is very helpful, giving us flexibility to do a good job. That's important to us.
It's nothing that can be solved in 1 year or 2 years. I think we're like, we can keep on working on it, because I feel like the people I've talked to around this district, a lot of them feel like they're handcuffed, so to speak, because of these standardized textbooks, the points they have to get to along the way, what they're forced to teach, and what they cannot do. And I think if you one handcuff, so to speak, they're going to teach like a real teacher should be teaching, and like they know how to teach. I think they would have a lot better results, and we have a lot of good teachers. All these districts, they're forced to pigeonhole, because they have also the benchmarks made for different standardized tests throughout the year, manual tests. And but it's a huge problem, I think, that we need to continue to work on, and hopefully sometime in the near future we'll make a significant difference.
Well, as I tell people lots of times, I've had this conversation with a number of teachers, that the problems that we are running into on education policy is not that legislators don't care. The problem is the exact opposite. The problem is that everybody cares. And everybody's got their own ideas. And so that makes it very difficult to get the consensus that you need to do things that are meaningful. There are lots of issues where you'll have some people who care about them, but some people who don't. And it's not as difficult to get the consensus. Education is not that issue. Education is probably the one issue that everybody pays attention to when a debate comes up. And they've got great ideas, and they want to make sure everybody knows about their great ideas. They want to tell everybody about the conversation they just had with the teacher the other day. because this is what needs to be done. And that makes it really hard, to do those things. But hard things are the ones that matter the most. So I think you're gonna see, a lot of, at least I really hope that you're gonna see a lot more work on education going forward every year.
Any questions for us? I want to say thank you for your assistance and, Mr. Jordan, appreciate that.
Well, he didn't say anything, he might want to.
That was a good apartment, right?
He's a great guy, he's gonna do a great job for the board and for the district and for all the students, so we're glad that we had somebody of his caliber who was willing to step up and take on that role. He's gonna be great.
I think, Shane knows how hard, when you have five counties, Shane knows how hard it is to find, appointees for such boards, and for any county, any board, for any county, find somebody who's willing and qualified for it, so, gotta find the people in the hate stuff, so, this was easy.
Any questions for us?
No, again, I just thank you for, well, first of all, I thank you for the conversation that we have every year. Thanks for inviting us back and, not throwing anything at us. That's right, maybe I shouldn't get too excited yet. But I mean, I appreciate the conversation, it's good for us to have a relationship. I think that's good, and, don't be afraid to call. If there's something you think we need to know about, please let us know. I know I've had conversations with some of you on different things, and I appreciate the conversations, because, you shouldn't assume that we already know, because it very well could be that we hadn't heard, or whatever it is. We may not know what the issue is. But I appreciate the opportunity to come and to talk with you about different things in education or anything else. Talk about what anything other than education is. But I appreciate that. And again, I thank you for the work you've done to ensure that your students are getting back to school and getting the instruction that they need to have.
I'll just reiterate, always reach out, because there's so many bills to do. There's so many moving parts to what's going on. There's no way that one person or two people can keep a thumb on everything that's happening. So always feel free to reach out. I know Shane's always well in mind too, so keep us informed as prior year to get a chance.
You know, we'll do that.
I know you will.
These folks behind me are the ones that work so hard, so I appreciate their work.
Thank y'all for being here. I know this is a time you don't be home with your family, so, thank you for being here, but thank you for the work you've done with the kids too.
Welcome to stay, but I didn't probably go back and see your family too.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
We'd love to shake hands with them, social distance.
I know. I can't get used to that. I'm having a hard time with that.
Thank y'all again for.
Thank you again for coming. We certainly appreciate your time. Next on the agenda, is our Saluda High School field trip request updates. You'll probably receive some information, additional information in your packet.
Coach Robert, we spoke to Coach Robert after our last board meeting, and she reached out to the tournament just to receive some additional information about some protocols with COVID, also information about the funding. So, and she is actually here, and Mr. Etheridge is here, so if there are still any unanswered questions, as we discussed, we needed to get the ball rolling ahead of time to secure our spots. You can see from the information, our girls will definitely be playing some of the best teams on the East Coast, if not in the nation. We've had several individuals step up to make some donations so we can ensure that all of our players will be able to go, so that funding is not going to be something that would prevent them from going. Obviously, as the event draws nearer, I'm sure the tournament will be watching COVID levels and things of that nature, before any final decision to go. But once again, too, we have to get the ball rolling, thus the early field trip process. Coach Roberts here, Mr. Edwards is here. If there's any questions that any board member still has in reference to the tournament?
So any additional questions? We approved the conditional on this information, that's good with the information. Any questions for Coach Walker?
And in our November meeting, obviously, we'll have a follow-up update just to make sure conditions are still, positive for them to go.
All right, thank you. Next is the Golden Gate Movement Program.
Yes, Dr. Coleman, I asked Dr. Bassett if he would come present to us tonight. We referenced the Golden Gate Movement Program on several occasions. This is a guidance curriculum that will take place at each of our buildings. The purpose is really piggybacks on our social emotional push that we have embraced the past couple of years, but also too, with everything going on in our society today, this is just another avenue that we can use and bring to our kids to make sure that we are showing respect and respecting the differences of all individuals. So, thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here and not just in the corner. It's a great thing for me to be able to speak tonight on behalf of the Golden Gate Movement. Can everyone hear me all right?
No.
Okay.
And, you got a mic up or move your mask so I can see your lips.
Okay.
One or the other.
I'll be both.
Okay. Both, not required.
All right, that's all right. Well, just like Dr. Livingston had said, this was an opportunity when we got together in the summer and we were talking about the social emotional learning component and what we could do for our students. This came up at the very first meeting. It's something that I've had exposure to in Lexington 1. I thought it would be a tremendous opportunity to at least bring some elements of that program to us, but we had Dr. Duggins in the room when we were having this discussion, and she said, well, let's see what we can do about not just certain components, let's bring the entire program. So was able to connect with people in Utah. There's a wonderful woman by the name of JoLynn Ward who lives in Utah. She is the founder of this particular program. I was able to reach out to her. We were able to get the curriculum and the program products available from Golden Gate Movement for each one of our schools. Had a great conversation over the summer with our district's counselors. We all got together. A little nervous about how that conversation was going to go at first, but everyone really, they took the ball and they ran with it. So I do need to brag on all the counselors here in our district. From Ms. Black at Hollywood, from Ms. Young at the elementary school, Ms. Gilmore at the primary school, Ms. Scurry, and also we had Ms. Thomas, we also had the CDFs that are helping us with this as well, and our school-based mental health counselors, so Michaela, Sally, Tracy Kaufman. We're all kind of working together as a team. We've been able to meet all together. We took part in a rather comprehensive training late in the summer. And then what we did from that point is that we broke off into teams where our elementary students, our elementary counselors got together, the secondary counselors got together. And we were able to kind of get the ball rolling in our particular schools. We have launched successfully at each school. I know I can speak for myself that, through a Google Meet, I was able to introduce our student body to the Golden Gate Movement, what it stands for, what it's about, the different pledge points. The Golden Gate Pledge is a rather big piece to what we're teaching our students throughout the year. I provided those pledge points over the summer when we were talking about this for our secondary, for our school plan of reopening all the different schools. So, what we've gone through is what we're doing is that we have a curriculum and we're trying to address each pledge point for each month. So I know it's been going well. I did ask for a report from all of our counselors for this week and for this presentation. Behind me is just a snapshot of what you're seeing in all the different schools. I asked them to be able to provide me some pictures and some videos so you can see that, you know, the students are really buying in. The counselors seem to buy in rather immediately, and now, you know, now the students are becoming educated on what the Golden Gate Movement's about, for what they can do for themselves, what they can do for their friends and family, what they can do, what we can do for each other. And that's just probably the biggest point of it all, is that was one of the things that I shared to our school the first day we were back. And I said, you know what? This is a scary time. This is an uncertain time. We might have opinions out there, whether it's about masks, whatever it is. We're all going through it, whether you're confident and comfortable with what you're, you know, in your skin, or there's someone that's probably sitting right next to you that is scared for their life, or scared for the life of a parent or a grandparent, aunt or uncle. We all have to look out for one another. We all have to look out for each other's backs. And that was that was actually taken when I was presenting to the school on that particular morning. But in any case, very well received so far from the students. There's an opportunity to sign the pledge banner. So we've had our students here at the high school, and I know the middle school's done it. The elementary schools, their pledge banner looks a little different. It's a little smaller, so they've kind of put their signatures off to the side. But this is an opportunity for students to show support of what the Golden Gate Pledge stands for. So an opportunity for them to try to live that pledge each and every day. And it's not just necessarily about the curriculum. It's also trying to come up and promote different opportunities to be able to show kindness, compassion, inclusion. I know I just produced a guidance lesson for the high school and the middle school. It had to do with, I will smile at others. So a tremendous opportunity along with a little assignment. So I kind of shared it with all of our teachers to make sure they're talking about it at lunchtime, because that's the best time in our school day to have a conversation. I'm going to push it out to our distance learners this evening or tomorrow, just to make sure that they're involved in what's going on too. And that's another piece to making sure that our distance learners are doing okay. So what are we doing at the high school? Well, our particular group at the high school, I don't know why that's sideways, but I apologize for that. What are we doing for our distance learners? Well, right now we have Miss Harmon, Heather Harmon, who is in my high school Golden Gate Club. She is sending birthday cards out to all the distance learners on their birthdays, making sure that they know that we still see them, they're still being recognized, and they want to be, and we need to celebrate them. An opportunity came up last week in our business meeting where we wanted to look at opportunities to maybe be able to bring our distance learners into the classrooms at the high school during lunch to have conversations that they're most likely not getting while they're at home and they see that their friends are at school. So I did put out something to the faculty today. Let me know if you're interested in adopting what we're going to call a bridge buddy. We want to make sure that we're reaching out to the distance learners and making sure they're just as socially active or close to as socially active as possible, and them understanding that we're not forgetting about them, because, you know, that's a huge deal. You know, teachers have been rocking it, and I've seen it on social media. I've seen it with my own two eyes. They're doing a great job of reaching out and being able to connect with our distance learners, but I want to make absolutely sure that we're doing it from a social emotional standpoint as well. Let's see, any other points that I want to make sure that I touch upon? The birthday cards, Bridge Buddies. I know that at Hollywood they're doing, it's kind of a faculty celebration for those who exemplify kindness each week. A teacher is getting what they call mugged, which is usually like a mug full of treats, candy, things of that sort, maybe some coffees. And what they'll usually do is kind of a pay it forward type situation where that next teacher will be looking for that follow-up the following week and making sure that their teachers are being taken care of. Because again, it's not just about the students, it's about the teachers as well. This week here at the middle school and high school, we're going to be providing boot grams for our faculty members, just because we want to make sure yeah, we're remembering them as well. We're having a potluck lunch for, for fellowship purposes here at the high school. And again, a lot of it is all tied to what we're trying to do with the Golden Gate movement. So, I think that's about it, unless anyone has any particular questions.
I just
Any
want to
questions for Dr. Vecchio?
make a comment, not really a question. When we talk about education to me is very, very important. But this is this experience that I want all our students to have. When they feel good from pickup to drop off, I think this is what I was talking about. I did a little radio deal on Saluda now for the upcoming election, and that's what I was talking about. This is wonderful. I think this is great. I think this is the direction that we need to go in with all our students, all our kids. I think this is absolutely inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. And funny, I pick up my mask. Got to talk about this. This is the only state-kind Golden Gate movement sanctioned mask there is. They don't make masks. They make t-shirts. They have their printing supplies for the posters and such that they outfit for each school. I did ask them about masks because obviously they're going to be important for a while. They do not produce these. They asked me, because of some of the work that Brad Johnson does in his digital design program, to come up with a prototype. So we came up with the state-kind mask. We had a small business meeting with our administrators, our school leadership last week. And this is an opportunity now for our digital design students, a work-based learning opportunity, because we're going to sell these masks to those who are interested. So I did send out a Google Doc to our district schools to see who would like to purchase one over the next couple weeks. And then we're going to send, there's 2 other high schools in our state that do Golden Gate movement. We're going to send to those counselors. But we have the full-fledged support of the national people on this. They were really excited, and when they saw mine, they were really pleased. And in some of these, as you see right here, this is a social media post from the Golden Gate people. This is not me. This is not us. This is Golden Gate talking about our schools. And if you go on their Facebook or you go on their Instagram, they're talking about Saluda County Schools a tremendous deal. It's been really impressive how much they've watched what we're doing. We are going to have an in-service, all the counselors together next week, and Jolynn is going to chime in on a video conference with us to kind of talk about how things are going in our district, some things that, she recognizes maybe things that can help us, but also to kind of talk about guidance lessons moving forward. So we're looking forward to that opportunity with Ms. Ward. So.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. Vecchio.
Yes, ma'am.
Next on the agenda is African American Studies. Dr. Livingston, who sent us a lot of information, and they usually bring that to us in the spring.
Yeah, I did want to, I did, before I jump in that, we just want to thank Dr. Vecchio and all our guidance counselors, our CPMs, for the hard work that they put into it. And when Dr. Vecchio and Mr. Etheridge shared with me the other day about the possibility of our Brad Johnson's cake class actually getting to produce the mask, my wheels definitely started turning. So once we do begin that process, I will make sure that the delegation is fully aware of what's taking place at Saluda County Schools, and then hopefully that maybe help them find some additional cake funding so we can really skyrocket our program. Just very proud of the hard work going on. And this does kind of segue in. I did provide the board last month. I apologize. Information from last year, provide the board with a sampling of topics, activities, events, lessons, standards, and curriculum in reference to our African American studies covered last year. I do recognize that last year's school building closure did impact our teachers' ability to effectively cover all areas and topics that they normally would. But with that being said, our teachers, administrators have and are identifying learning gaps in all areas, and will continue to teach and expose our students to topics and subjects that we may have missed during last year's school closure. In addition, as you just heard from Dr. Baker's presentation, is our hope and goal that in addition to our lessons that our teachers teach, this will definitely combine with the lessons that are being taught through our Golden Gate Movement Program to help all of our students and staff continue to show respect and empathy for each other and everyone. That is something definitely needed during this time.
Any questions or comments from Dr. Livingston? Thank you for putting that information together.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions, comments? All right. Next on the agenda are SCSBA policies. And I know there are a lot of them. There's some new ones, and then there's some updated ones. And some of them are from new legislation that we need to do, and then some of them are just like the service animals. Those are because there weren't separate ones for each class of public staff students. And so it's, I guess, part of the school board association's updating those. And then there are a couple other new ones too. Some of them are very comprehensive. So we could have an initial discussion. We may need to have a workshop before we want to give them first reading, or we want to do some or carry them over, and then because I've got a few questions about some of them too, and some of the language. So we can kind of, if you want to kind of go through and give us a brief on each one as to the rationale, and then we can vote on them as we decide.
Okay, Dr. Coleman and the board, just a reminder, the strike through obviously is the original language, and anything in yellow is new language for the School Board Association. Very first policy, EBC, the new language provides a clear definition of the steps the superintendent should take to be prepared to address and to manage an emergency. Obviously, the School Board Association felt that a little more detail in the policy should be laid out. And we're very fortunate that the steps that our team of individuals behind me took at the beginning of COVID, we have steps in place not only for COVID, but teams ready to respond to any type of emergency. So that was the rationale from the School Board Association on the additional language.
I think there was some legislation too with requiring some drills and
correct. The safe schools, I apologize.
security plans.
That is correct.
Sort of stuff. So, are there any questions on this and stuff? Yeah, that was one of the easier ones. That was pretty easy. I'm not sure whether they have these events may include, but not limited to suicide, death, and staff member. I'm not. I'm gonna look at that language a little closer, but I think it's good. Certainly, we need to update on what we have.
Next policy,
Any questions on that one? All right.
next policy, GCOA, evaluation of instructional staff. During the 2020 legislative session, 2 state Board of Education regulations were amended. The new language shows the updated evaluating of professional teachers and guidance on expanded teacher support. So the new language coincides with 2 new state Board of Education regulations that were amended. So this is verbiage straight out of regulation.
one comment on the first page, where they strike teacher and put staff member. I think it may be clearer to say, since this is instructional staff, that it should be instructional staff
I was gonna say the
member
same
instead of
thing.
just staff member
Because later,
there.
now
In my
we're
opinion.
when it says certified teachers, and I'm wondering why they struck that out.
I'm okay with instructional staff, but there are other staff members, and I think that needs to be clarified, where it should say instructional staff. And then I know the revamp from the state board on the evaluation system. This is an update on that. Any questions, comments I could switch from GCOA evaluation and instructional staff. We're gonna, Commander Moore, we're just gonna get, Dr. Livingston to kind of give us a brief rationale that he received on all of them, and then we can, decide if we want to give them first reading or carry them over again. We may need to have a workshop, in between to go through some of them. All right, next is, of course, the next would be the, administrative rule related to it, correct?
Yes, and Dr.
And
Coleman,
that's
this,
just for information.
yeah, and, this comes straight from, South Carolina law, Code of Law 59-26-85, which pertains to the eligibility of continuing contract teaching status.
Okay. All right, next is ACB, Educational Equity. It's a new policy.
Yes, ma'am. This was the School Board Association developed policy to ensure that districts focus on the allocation of resources, professional development to identify any barriers that create the opportunity of any learning gaps.
This is a very comprehensive policy, and I think it's going to take some study. I know that, we'll get to the one here.
I guess I don't understand. I don't understand what it means here. You are talking about ACB, correct?
Right.
And I don't understand what he means when it says, what does it mean when it says the district will provide multiple pathways to success to meet the needs of the diverse student body and will actively encourage, support, and expect high academic achievement and excellence from students? What does that mean?
All right, tell me what. I could hear most of it.
I mean, what exactly do you mean by the district will provide multiple pathways to success? What does that mean?
Okay, Commander Moore, the way I interpret that, really following the line as we do now in our
I
curriculum.
can't understand you, I'm sorry. Hold the microphone up by your mask. That'll help. Otherwise, it's just mush.
Can you hear me?
I hear fine.
Can you hear me?
Oh, that's loud.
Okay. Commander, the way I interpret that, just as we do and will continue to do, we need to find pathways and opportunities for our four-year college, for our students that are designed for a four-year pathway. I think we need to continue to find opportunities for those individuals who want to go into the military, those individuals in the workforce, and making sure that we are just trying to address the needs of our entire student body.
I understand the words. I just don't understand what does that mean? You say multiple pathways. I mean, does that mean you're going to sit here and say, give me an example or something? I don't get it. When you say multiple pathways to success, to me, that, as I look at this, I interpret that to say, well, Johnny, jump up, even though you're failing, we're going to find you a way to pass.
I don't interpret that way.
See, that's what I see. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, that individual who may be, I think it's our job to make sure we find every student's passion. That young man or young lady who maybe not enjoy the academic courses as much as others, we need to find a passion, be it building construction, be it Brad Johnson's digital class, be it armed services, be it welding. But it's our responsibility and our guidance counselors when they meet with our students for their
IGP.
thank you, their meetings, to find what every student truly wants to do with their life. And that probably still didn't answer completely your question.
That's fine. I made that point.
We're gonna offer up some, we can work on the language.
But I will go back to Dr. Coleman. Now, that is, even though it's a new policy, this is something that I take great pride that our administrators and our high schools have strived to get. We don't need a policy
We've been ahead
for us to do this.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think in the first paragraph, the last sentence is, I think they're using the wrong verb there. It's identify and address barriers that cultivate achievement. I don't think that's what they mean here. So, I think we need to work on that language.
I guess my real point is we sit here and we throw out a whole bunch of big words instead of getting to the point of what we really want to say. And I just think it's a waste of time and type, ink. Why can't you just say what you mean? You don't need to have all this verbosity. How about that word? I made that one up.
I do not disagree, but a lady very smarter than I, who's a lawyer, wrote this policy, so I'm not going to discourage her.
That's the problem. We got lawyers writing this crap.
Well, this is a model policy, so we can make some clarifications when it's
No offense on lawyers.
I appreciate that.
But I understand you're in the law profession, and that's good. We need lawyers.
All right, next, let's keep going through.
Keep going. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make that point.
It was a good one. I appreciate you doing it. That's why we're here.
Dr. Coleman, next policy, new policy, GBGAB. This is a new policy that aligns with South Carolina Section Code 41-1-130, the South Carolina Lactation Support Act.
They just passed that law this year. And there's actually a federal law too that goes with the Unfair Labor Standards Act. And so the state sort of mirrored it. There are a couple of things that they don't. I looked them up today, but they just passed this in June. So it's pretty much straight out of the language of the legislation. Okay. Any questions?
And the different service animal policies, ACE, GBGAA, and JLCDD. As Dr. Coleman said before, at one point in time, the policy that dealt with animals in school was the overarching policy, and the School Board Association felt they needed to develop a policy to address each subgroup that would possibly be involved with the service animal.
Any questions? No, I did talk to Dr. Bridges a little bit about this. We want to make sure there's, when they're talking about classroom pets, I mean, there's nothing that is an issue with our farm animals, so we'll check on that, make sure.
The other thing that I was looking at when I was looking over this is the definition.
Yeah.
Whenever I look at a service animal, I think about those that are qualified to be a service animal, that are certified to be a service animal.
There's been a lot of hype in media on service animals and the allowing of those on airlines. And you have to fill out a form, they can get it, and they can take care of animals because they are just classified as a service animal. So I have problems with the definitions, because I think it really needs to be spelled out. And I know this is a model. Obviously, all this is new, but I think that definition, because it's actually in 3 of these policies, needs to be elaborated on. Service animals have certifications.
Yes, ma'am.
They have to be trained as such. If you come upon one, you're not supposed to pet it at all. So I think and I know I'm probably speaking in the wind right here, but I really think there needs to be a clear definition of service animal in this policy.
No, and I totally agree on Ms. Nichols with that. Yes, we definitely want to be able to provide access to those individuals who truly have a need, so you do not want to open the door. And you're exactly right. I have a neighbor who has a true service animal, and it is years of work, and it's years of work for those animals, but thank you for that.
So I don't know if there's anything we can ask about that, but I really think for the school board association to be handing this as a model, that definition needs to be elaborated on.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. All right.
And the final one, Dr. Coleman, was, correct, that was the animals in school group policy, IMG. But as Dr. Coleman stated, we definitely need to do a little more digging into this one to ensure that nothing in this policy would harm our ag program or limit our ability with our ag program.
And so this is, well, whenever I read this one, the second paragraph really kind of, if we had, let's say it's 95 degrees outside, and I work here, and I decided to bring my chihuahua. Okay, and I have my windows down. If you read paragraph 2, I'm within the standard of the policy. To me, that's just needs to be looked at as well. You can't, I mean, I just don't even know why that's in there.
As well.
Yeah.
So we have to give our policies, 2 readings. We can give them first reading tonight and take them up. We can have a workshop in between and take them up, or we can carry them over. Some of them if they want more discussion. We can do whatever the board would like. And some of them are from legislation that we have to abide by. But some of them aren't either. So if it's, I'll let the board, however y'all wish, if you want to do a first reading tonight, and then, or on all of them, or individually, and then we will continue to get information and work on them before our second reading, or we can carry them over that you have concerns about, and what you have concerns about, and not give a first reading at all, just wait.
With the concerns that I think we've mentioned, is that something that we can take back to the school board association or someone contact someone there and get a more clearer definition of all the questions asked, I guess.
We will reach out to Dr. Reese in the morning. Yes, ma'am.
I'm okay with Larry on this, is we got 2 readings, but give the opportunity to find out the answers.
So, any other thoughts or discussion before we, and I'll entertain a motion as the board desires on how we do these. We can do them all together, we can do them as individually, or we can do some first reading and some carry over, but it's really up to the board.
why can't we just, we need to do a first reading,
You can,
and
yes.
then we need to go back, why can't we just do a lump sum motion to cover all of these things? For first reading.
Well, what I was thinking was maybe we get rid of the ones that, we're not get rid of, we're go ahead and accept the ones, on first reading, and maybe put the others carry over. And that way it kind of gets some of it off of our plate.
I think only some of them really are ones we need to, I mean, some of the new ones, I don't think there's time constraint by any means. I think the first one, EBC, yeah, EBC, how about the evaluation process? We need to go ahead and do those, give those first reading. Those are straight from the state board, mandates on the instruction. Y'all want to do those first reading? And then the lactation accommodation, is the only new one, I think that that we need to go ahead and move forward with. The other new ones we can carry over if you want to.
We'll do it all. I don't have that.
Chief Boyd, ready?
Okay, I can't hear you.
I said we'll do, make a motion for policies, EBC, we'll do them all, GCOA, GCOAR, ACB, GBG, AB, ACE, GBGAA, JLCDD, JLCDD-R, and ING for first reading.
Second.
All right, there's a motion to give, all the policies we just discussed. Actually, we don't have to vote on the administrative rules. All the policies first reading. There's a motion by Ms. Nichols, there's a second by Commander Moore. Is there any further discussion? We'll give the first reading, and then, we probably will have some discussion before we have our second reading on that. So we'll get those answers.
Because you say there was some grammar changes that you might look at as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I said let's do them all, and
Okay.
because there's probably more there.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. All opposed, like sign, vote unanimous. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Dr. Coleman, and this is going to be very short. I'm going to stand up because the people that I want to talk about are right behind us. Hope I'm not writing. Hope I don't get my notes. Dr. Coleman, Board, I just want to take a moment to recognize October's National Principals Month. Hands down, the finest group of administrators in the state of South Carolina. It is a pleasure to come to work every day and to work with these 6 individuals. Hands down, true servant leaders, putting kids first, first to school, the last to leave. They truly have a passion for what they do. I tell them all the time, unless someone has walked in a principal's shoes, they have no idea the magnitude and the pressure that comes along with this job. They are directly responsible for hundreds of lives and hundreds of future leaders every single day. And now it is a privilege to work alongside you every day. I'm amazed at what you do with limited resources and a very diverse population. Y'all wear that as a badge of honor. And I cannot think of a time during my 20+ years here in which we have been as solid, top to bottom, at each of our buildings. So on behalf of me, I just want to publicly thank you for everything you do. And not just for October, but just thank you for what you do every single day.
I have a question. Do we have a contract does our district have a contract with Adidas to only use Adidas equipment? I ask this because I've been told that, kids can't use like Under Armour or Nike shoes. They have to buy Adidas. So
Yes, we're done. Yeah, you just feel this one out.
We have an agreement with Adidas.
I can't hear you.
We have an agreement with Adidas.
What do you mean an agreement?
Through TNT Sports, and what they do is, we agree that our teams agree to a purchase of Adidas equipment and Adidas shoes and stuff. But there's no requirement, there's no mandatory requirement for students that individually buy things. They can buy whatever they want.
I was told, and that's the reason I asked, is because I was told that kids in some of the middle school sports, with their shoes or some of the stuff that they had to, they were told they had to have Adidas.
That's not, well, they may have been told that, it's not entirely accurate.
Well then,
Maybe I need to get this wilder.
I was just curious if we have a contract or even, and you say agreement.
Yes, sir. So what we do.
You say we have an agreement to use Adidas equipment. To me, an agreement and a contract are pretty much the same thing. So I'm wondering who made this agreement or slant contract?
Okay.
And where did they get the authority to do that from? I thought this board was the ones that made contracts. And that's why I'm asking if you would.
I will interject on that, and I can't remember how many years ago, I can't remember if I was principal or after my time as principal, but we did enter in a contract
Did the board approve?
It would take a board approval from that board. I would have the authority to enter into a contract in reference to uniforms. For my contract, unless I'm wrong,
I don't know. Okay.
I have authority.
Good.
So I granted authority. Our varsity teams are an Adidas, wear Adidas apparel. We got a lot of matching funds for some upfront uniforms at no cost. In addition to, and I do not know the dollar amount, but I do know that the athletic department gets $1,000, maybe $2,000 in credit each year. So, and then they will use that credit then to buy either coaching apparel or gear for the kids or things of that nature. But no, we're not mandating anything the kids having to purchase. And especially in fact, the rule was years ago that at the JV and middle school level, if a kid does not want to purchase an Adidas shoes, obviously they can purchase whatever shoes they want to wear. But let me get Coach Walter to get some clarification, and I can bring out that information back in November when I'm more prepared.
I didn't mean to blindside you, it just occurred to me. I'm old and things pop in my head different times.
Command more like always. You can call me 24/7 as you do that. Maybe you need questions. Yes, sir.
I would normally, but just.
And I apologize that I was not able to thoroughly answer your question.
That's fine. Absolutely, that's fine.
I was just.
All right, anything else to start with? All right. Next on the agenda is executive session. While in executive session, we will discuss personnel matters and superintendent's evaluation. I hear a motion to go into executive session. Motion by Ms. Nichols, there a second? Second by Dr. Puryear. All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. We're now in executive session. Thank you.